It's been a while since I did the Experiencing God, and we are still on the subject of obedience. Okay, so I'll just read you a little bit, and if you're interested, just listen. If you went out and bought the book, that's great too. I'm on page 188, and tonight, and I'm sitting in the church parking lot, and tonight we're going to be going over this. Okay, this is day 3 on, let's see, what is this chapter called? Obedience, part 1. Okay, obedience is extremely important because first we have to hear and then we have to obey. All right, when you obey God, He will accomplish His purposes through you. When God does something through your life that only He can do, you will come to know Him more fully. If you do not obey, you will miss some of the most exciting experiences of your life. When God purposes to do something through you, the assignment will have God-sized dimensions. This is because God wants to reveal Himself to you and to those around you. If you can do the work in your own strength, people will only encounter you, not even God. However, if God works through you to do what only He can do, you and those around you will come to experience Him. The God-sized dimensions of a divine assignment create a crisis of belief. Now, I don't even know if I've talked about crisis of belief, but that is in here. And it is where you come upon a rock and a hard place, pretty much, a mountain, something you've got to overcome. And you can't believe it, therefore you're going to have to put all of your faith in God and get past it and follow, still obey, okay? You must believe God is who He says He is, and that He can do what He says He can do, and He will do what He says He will do. So we have to believe, and that's where our crisis of faith, or rather crisis of belief, comes from. When you obey Him, you must allow Him to do what He has said. He is the one who accomplishes the assignment, but He does it through you. Okay. Moses obeyed God, and God accomplished. So because Moses obeyed, he listened, he obeyed God, God accomplished. Only in the act of obedience did Moses begin to experience the full nature of God. Moses could believe in God while living in the wilderness, but he began to dramatically experience God only when he went to Egypt as God had commanded. What he began to know about God grew from his obedience to God. In Moses' life, we can see this pattern of God speaking, Moses obeying, and God accomplishing what God purposed to do. All right. I want to review Unit 7. I'm still on page 188. Number 1. When God calls you to join Him in a God-sized task, faith is always required. When you face a crisis of belief, what you do next reveals what you believe about God. That's heavy. Number 3, faith is a person, and Jesus Christ is that person. Number 4, faith is confidence that what God has promised or said will come to pass. Number 5, when God speaks, He reveals what He is going to do, not what He wants you to do for Him. I'll say that one again. Number 5, when God speaks, He reveals what He is going to do, not what He wants you to do for Him. Number 6, if you have faith in the God who called you, you will obey Him, and He will bring to pass what He has purposed to do. Number 7, obedience indicates your faith in God. And number 8, with faith you can confidently proceed to obey Him because you know He will accomplish what He purposes. Okay. All right, so the next work that I've got to do is a little bit of reading about, it says, first of all, read the review statement from Unit 7 in the margin, which is what I just did. I did 1 through 7. Circle the numbers of the ones that have been especially meaningful to me. So that's the homework on that part. For me, the important part is when I face a crisis, what I do next reveals my belief about God. Faith is confidence that what God has promised will come to pass. What God speaks, He reveals what He's going to do, not what He wants you to do. If you have faith, He will bring to pass what He has purposed. Obedience, okay, number 7, obedience indicates your faith in God. So if I don't obey Him, then I'm showing that I don't have faith in God. And that's true. Those two were my most important ones. Okay. Describe a time that God strengthened your walk with Him by giving you a God-sized task that required faith and obedience. So this is question number 2. Briefly describe a time that God strengthened your walk with Him by giving you a God-sized task that required faith and obedience. And this was enormous in 2021 when I met my husband online, January the 19th of 2021. So it was a year after COVID. And we met online. We went ahead and we texted a lot, got to know each other. Then about 2 weeks later, we went ahead and went on a date. We went on a second date the day after that. Then we texted every single day because he lived an hour and 20 minutes away. And by the time our third date, like the third week was coming along, he had started talking about marriage, right? And because my first husband, and I'm divorced, my first husband asked me to get engaged. He popped a ring and everything within 3 weeks of knowing me, and that was at the age of 25. And I immediately said yes. And that was a very not good marriage. But it did last 25 years. And we got 2 beautiful children from that marriage. My point being that I did get a little scared about the engagement, 3 weeks after with my second husband. We were going to try to get married in June because he's a teacher, or was a teacher. He's retired. And we were going to wait and get married in June. And then he goes, wait, why don't we get married during spring break in April? And that would have been cool too. I said, oh, okay. And then as we were talking a little bit more, he goes, well, really, what are we waiting for? Let's just go ahead and get married. And right there, bam. Meaning like in the next 2 weeks. So from January 19th until February the 12th, that's the day I got my engagement ring that he let me pick out. Very sweet. And, or the week. And then he gave it to me at a really nice restaurant in Thomasville, Georgia. And it's called SAS, S-A-A-S. And it was romantic and beautiful. But we'd only known each other about 4 weeks. I mean, three weeks. Sorry. And So you really don't know the person. I was risking a lot, and he was risking a lot. We both were. That's why it says, describe a time God strengthened your walk with him by giving you a God-sized task that required faith and obedience. Okay, so we were engaged, and then he goes, well, let's just go ahead, and what's stopping us? And so he just started, and I agreed, and 2 Fridays later after that, on February 26, 2021, we got married by our pastor, not the present pastor, but the pastor before this one, and lovely man, very godly man. All of these pastors are godly and precious, and we love them both. We love them all. We've been to 3 churches here, and we love our home church at this point. And anyway, long story short, okay, so we had to quickly, I had 2 children that were the ages of, gosh, it's so hard to remember, like 19 and 17. Or it could have been 18 and 16. I don't think they were totally adults. My daughter was. But we had to just make so many changes within the months of end of February. So March, April, May, June, July, and then August. August is when we moved out of the Thomasville home, and I moved in with my husband in our new little town. And then my daughter went and became a live-in nanny to three children, and my son wanted to finish high school in Thomasville, his senior year. I had held him back twice in his life. So, you know, he was older and finishing high school. But all of this took an enormous amount of faith, an enormous amount of tears. In the month of May, between our marriage and moving away from Thomasville, my daddy passed away 2 days before my birthday, and then Scott, my husband's daddy, passed away 7 days after my daddy. So we have a lot in common and a lot of grief, but no, that's not true at all. Hardly any grief. But everything was in acceleration mode. Hurry, 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 hurry. I had gotten a word that year or 6 months prior, can't remember, with the word acceleration. 2 years before acceleration, the word was new beginnings. I don't have a word right now. I don't know if I could handle one right now, but it would take a God-size project to cause me to first accept it, obey it, go into a crisis of belief, like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I have to shut myself in and pray and push in and press into the Lord, and let him do the maneuvering. Okay, I'm going on like 13 and a half minutes, and I can only do 15 minutes at a time. So I'll continue on the next one.